today we have a fun tag video to do showcasing some pretty rare Disney pins. I was tagged by Day Tripping Disney in the Pin Limbo tag, which they started, and I'll link to their original video in the description. Basically, this tag asks you to share your top 5 lowest edition size Disney pins, or basically the 5 rarest Disney pins that you own. And this is a pin limbo because you're basically going to try and see how low you can go with the edition sizes. I think that this is pretty fun because it's actually been a while since I've done an update on what the rarest Disney pins are that I own. I made a video way back in 2017 showing all the pins that I owned that were LE 500 and under. At the time, I did have quite a lot of LE 500 pins, and I did get to go to some lower edition sizes, but we're actually going to start much lower today. So I think this tag is fun regardless of whether you've just kind of started to get into limited edition pins or if you're somebody who's kind of been in hardcore for a while. I made a video a while back talking about my Disney pin story, and I'd been collecting pins since 2003, but for over a decade I had no idea that limited edition pins were even a thing. It wasn't until like 2016 when I found the pin trading and collecting community online that I was like, oh wow, there's all these really awesome, really valuable pins. So since then, after a few years of kind of getting into the hardcore collecting, these are actually the top 6 rarest Disney pins that I have. I'm showing 6 instead of 5 because I have some that are the same edition size number. I've put the restraints on this for myself that I'm not including any Disney licensed pins or any fantasy pins, but I'm only going to show like strictly direct from Disney pins. And in this limbo tag, we're going to be starting off with LE 200. So I actually have 2 LE 200 pins to share, and this first is a Rescuers 40th Anniversary Wdi Pin. So this actually was a pin that I did show in my rarest Disney pin video, so I have had this for a while. But this was a release by Walt Disney Imagineering in honor of the Rescuers 40th Anniversary. Features Bernard and Bianca in a little leaf being pushed by Evinrude. I did watch the Rescuers quite a lot growing up, so even though they don't release too many Rescuers pins, I always like to get them when I can, and oftentimes a lot of Rescuers pins can be pretty low edition sizes. So as we can see here, this one is stamped as limited edition 200. So then my next pin is also a Rescuers pin. It is also for the 40th anniversary, and it is also a limited edition of 200. This pin instead, however, was released from the Disney Studio Store Hollywood. So with this one, it's just funny enough that both of these Rescuers pins were for the 40th anniversary, and they were both a limited edition of 200. I really like this one from the Studio Store because you also have Penny on it. There's Orville flying in the background. You again do have Bernard and Bianca in a little leaf being pushed by Evinrude. This one also does feature a nice little pin on pin. And then on the back here, again, we have limited edition 200. So next we are dropping that limbo bar with pin number 3 and going to limited edition of 150 with this Yzma Villain's Vault pin. So this pin was part of a box set that was released during a Villain's Vault pin release at Disneyland. And this one is designed to be like a key. So you have the silhouette of Yzma here, you also have the llama potion. Most of this is just a sculpted metal with just a little bit of enamel, but then you can see here that this is limited edition of 150. It has the Villain's Vault stamp, and kind of special because it's very rare to see pins with such a low edition size being released from the Disney parks. So this tag is almost kind of coincidental because I started off with 2 Rescuer pins that were the same edition size, and now I'm moving on to 2 Emperor's New Groove pins that were the same edition size. So this 4th pin that I have, it is also a limited edition of 150. It is from the Disney Store UK and features Pacha and Kuzco. This is a super unique Emperor's New Groove pin because you really don't see this scene depicted like on any other pin. You have Kuzco and Pacha with Kuzcotopia. So this pin isn't necessarily like super big and flashy, but the Disney Store UK kind of / Disney Store Europe has historically done some pretty low edition size releases. And here with this one, you can see that it is also a limited edition of 150. For this 5th pin, we're once again lowering that limbo bar again, and we're down to limited edition of 100. And this is a Disney Auctions pin. I think this is like only my 2nd Disney Auctions pin. I would really love to get more, but this is also the 2nd rarest Disney pin in my collection. On this pin here, we have Mickey Mouse dressed up as an astronaut, and he is in a lunar rover on the moon. I have this pin to fit into my geology and earth science collection. Although I am very much a terrestrial geologist, I still do like to show some representation for planetary science. Then on this one here, you can see that classic Disney Auctions back stamp and limited edition of 100. So then for my top rarest pin, this is not a pin that I can hold. This is the pin that I've shown in quite a number of videos. This was also my top rarest pin in my initial rare Disney pin video. And with that, we are finishing our Limbo with an Ellie of 75 and my Museum of Pintiquities Mickey Mouse Completer pin. So although this pin is my rarest, there are only 75 of these that exist, it is not necessarily super exciting. It comes as this completer pin that can only be found as this framed set. And of course, the reason why I have this framed set is because it has my Mickey Mouse holding a Mickey geode pin. So you will often find it that some of the very rarest pins do come in framed sets, which makes them a little bit extra hard to find. I think it would be pretty hard for me to find and obtain a Disney pin that is a lower edition size. And I would show the back of this pin to confirm that it is an Ellie of 75, but this one is sealed in this frame set. So hopefully you enjoyed this pin Limbo tag showing my top 6 rarest Disney pins in my collection. What I think would be really cool and nice to find would be getting more Disney Auction Ellie 100 pins. Disney Auction pins, especially ones that are that rare, are pretty hard to find and are pretty expensive. That's kind of the most difficult thing when you get to like such low edition sizes. It's hard to find ones that are at attainable prices just because there's so few of them and they're probably pretty high in demand. But I would love to see your top 5 or 6 most rare Disney pins in your collection. So if you're watching this and do pins and have a YouTube channel, feel free to be tagged in this. Otherwise, what I think would be fun is if you're on Instagram, it'd be cool to make a post there showing your top 5 rarest pins, and then you can tag me in it there. Since I think it's really cool to see kind of where everybody is in their collections, and it's always really fun to see some limited edition Disney pins. And if you don't have a YouTube to make a video or don't really post much on Instagram, feel free to leave a comment with what is the rarest Disney pin that you have in your collection. But thanks for watching!